I'm sorry for being away so long. Unfortunately, I got sick and lost my voice. So once I got better, I had to take some time off to recover. So yeah, this is me, finally back, my friends. I hope you enjoy the next video. Like I said, I do apologise. I clean a hospital at night. For context, I got this job like 5-ish months ago. I'm in charge of cleaning all common areas, waiting rooms, hallways, office spaces, etc. of the 3-storey non-inpatient hospital. I have a couple of co-workers who clean other areas, surgical centres, urgent care, paediatrics, etc. So I don't see them very often. Last month I had just gotten to the first floor and started my routine with cleaning the bathrooms. The bathrooms face a hallway with a waiting room off to the left and some office spaces to the right. I had just finished the first bathroom and was heading into the second when I noticed what looked like a young woman peeking around the corner by the office spaces. I did a double take and she wasn't there. I was genuinely confused as none of my co-workers looked similar to her. She had an uncanny valley look and she was in front of a completely white wall. So it's not like my brain could have seen a poster and humanised it. Either way, I kind of ignored it and continued my routine. Not even 10 minutes later, I was bending over to change a trash bag facing the wall when my shirt was completely pulled up away from my back and dropped. I spun around hoping it was one of my co-workers playing a joke, but nobody was there. I was super freaked out and kinda yelled, "I didn't say you could touch me." Finished my job and left. I haven't had anything even close happen to me again. No clue what it was, but it was far too creepy. I accidentally became the ghost haunting my own apartment building. A few months ago, people in my apartment building started talking about a ghost. It started with small things. Someone would hear footsteps in the hallway at 3 a.m. Another person claimed they saw a shadow standing near the stairwell before it disappeared. One neighbour swore they heard someone whisper when nobody was there. The rumours spread fast. The funny part is that I knew exactly what was happening. I work night shifts and usually get home around 3 a.m. To avoid waking my roommates, I'd quietly take the stairs instead of the elevator. I also have a habit of talking to myself when I'm tired. One night, while carrying groceries, I dropped a bag. An elderly neighbour opened the door just as I bent down to pick everything up. The hallway light flickered at the exact moment. She screamed. I panicked and sprinted up the stairs. The next morning, the building's WhatsApp group exploded. Apparently, she had seen a dark figure crouching in the hallway. It vanished when the lights flickered. The ghost stories got crazier every week. Someone posted blurry CCTV screenshots. Another person claimed the ghost only appeared after midnight. A third person said it was probably the spirit of a former tenant. I stayed quiet because honestly, it was hilarious. Then management announced they were installing extra security cameras because the residents felt unsafe. At that point, I felt guilty and admitted everything. Nobody believed me. Even after I explained the late night shifts, the stairs, the dropped groceries, and the flickering lights, several neighbours insisted I was covering up the existence of the ghost. One guy actually said, "That's exactly what a ghost would want us to think." To this day, people still talk about the building ghost. And apparently, I'm not the ghost. I'm just a guy who lives on the 3rd floor. Hey everyone, if you like what I'm doing, why not subscribe to my channel? It costs nothing and it would help me out a great deal. Like, comment and subscribe, my friends. Like, comment and subscribe. Let's continue with the rest of the video. bought my first house and found out it was haunted. I bought my first house in 2003 and was over the moon. Shortly after moving in, two of my neighbours began joking with me about the ghost in my house. Well, I thought they were joking, so I just played along pretending I'd seen one, and it was no big deal. Well, as time went on, that summer I met more and more of my neighbours, and they all brought up the same topic. Finally, an elderly woman on the block who was quite kind and friendly told me the story after I'd asked her. I knew she wasn't going to screw with my head, which is why I asked her in the first place. Turned out the previous owner purchased the home and never lived there because she says it was haunted. Sounds in the night of footsteps and sobbing, and glimpses of a man sitting in the kitchen covered in blood. One of my neighbours helped with the renovations of the house and said that he was putting up drywall when he felt something lift up his dreadlocks. Though I've had paranormal experiences before, it had been years, and by then I just chalked it up to night terrors. One day I went to a small neighbourhood video store to rent a movie. I had to fill out a form with my demographic data and then my credit card info. The owner of the store looked at the form and said, "Oh my god, you live in that house." I asked her what she meant, and she explained that a former employee had committed suicide in my house. She came to the house as soon as she'd heard, but the house had been tipped off by the police as a potential crime scene. She told me that he just moved into the house with his partner and called his mom because he wanted to invite her over to meet his partner and come out to her. This was in the early 90s when being gay was a big deal. His mother already knew he was gay because he bought a house with a man and disowned him right over the phone. The same week he received a letter from an HIV testing centre stating he had tested positive for HIV. This is when HIV was a death sentence. He then sat on the kitchen table, ate a bowl of cereal and shot himself in the head with a revolver. Since then, she has had multiple paranormal experiences in the store, with videos flying off shelves and even levitating off shelves. The most I had experienced is sounds at night, sounds of Cheerios being poured into a bowl. I don't eat cereal, and sounds of sobbing in the kitchen. I often awake to both. I remember my grandmother saying, when the dead come to you, they want something. Form an act of charity in their name and pray for them. So I did. I sat down at the kitchen table one night and lit a candle and told him that each night I would recite a novena prayer for him before a little candle. On the 9th night of the first novena to Saint Anthony, patron saint of lost souls, I heard uncontrollable sobbing. I felt a strong presence of grief and despair, and the sound of hyperventilating breathing, as though someone could not catch their breath. I sat in the presence of this knowing it was not malignant, but rather a connection of intimacy and compassion, of which he was in need. For 45 days, I said a novena prayer before a little candle for his soul, and had a mass said in his name. A few times I had awakened to feel his presence standing over my bed. I knew it was not a malignant presence. This still happens from time to time, but less and less frequently. Thank you everybody for watching, it's very much appreciated. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, here are some other videos that might pique your interest. Until next time, I shall scare you later.